Good morning, and it's a foggy morning today. So I promised another topic that had come up at the show that we were at this past weekend, and that is the value of what you buy for your kid. So as a parent, when you have a kid that is a horse kid, well, let's face it, you're in big trouble. Okay, I decided that the best way to talk about kids and horses and the value of certain horses for kids was to include the kid. So, Honor.
Yes.
What horse do you think has been the most valuable horse in your career so far?
Probably Jupiter. Definitely Jupiter.
Okay, so give me reasons why.
So I started riding Jupiter when he was 3, and that was in 2022. And right off the bat, 3 months into riding him, I took him to a dressage show. That was his first show. It was a stay-away show. It was my first recognized dressage show. I went in there. I won both my classes with high scores in the high 60s. So that was a great first experience. And then...
Okay, stop for a second because I have something to interject.
Okay.
You said in 2022, how old were you when you started riding him?
13.
Okay, and what experience had you had and what was it like to start riding him?
I hadn't had a ton. I had a thoroughbred that I showed in the local shows and had done some schooling events before with, but nothing like him. And I had only had basic young horse training. I'd started a couple horses, but that was the extent of my knowledge of training a young horse.
And what was it like riding him at first?
It was actually very uncomfortable. He was a very uncomfortable horse for me to ride for a long time. He grew all the time, and every time he'd grow, he would decide that he didn't want to do something that we had learned the week prior. And as a newly turned teenager, I found that quite annoying. But I learned to get over it, and he was he could be a little bit of he was powerful, but he was also really sensitive, and he was really sensitive when he was younger.
Okay, I get it. I'm going to interject again. So tell me 3 things that have been really valuable about Jupiter in your experience so far.
Okay, one is that he has had the most workmanlike personality out of any horse I've ever ridden. I have never met a horse that was willing to work so hard for you. Obviously, I think part of his charm and why he's so valuable is because he's very talented. So he has plenty of talent to where I was not limited to what ring I could go in or what job I could do with him. And he was very easy to mold into what I wanted. He was not a horse that was super difficult to train on. He was not a very difficult horse to introduce new things to. So those are probably the 3 things that were the most important in my mind.
This is so foggy.
Okay, so we're not going to continue this interview right this second because it's so foggy, and this is a student driver on board. Yeah, you got to be really careful driving in this much fog.
I know. That's what I was like, man, we will just slow down and mosey around.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So why a young horse? Don't you wish that you had an experienced horse to get out there and ride?
Sometimes I do. Absolutely. Sometimes I wish that I wish I had one a long time ago, and sometimes still today I wish I had one. But young horses have taught me more than any person or schoolmaster horse could, because they are slowly but surely teaching me how to make it instead of just rely on the opportunity to have one, because I am not in a financial standpoint to go out there and probably ever buy the made horse that I could just go and do on.
Okay, let's talk about your peers and the horses you see that other kids your age are riding, and like, what would be something that you wish you had, and what do you feel like is something that you think doesn't work for people?
Obviously, I wish I had a step-down Grand Prix horse, honestly.
But what have you seen about step-down Grand Prix horses?
I think it's kind of two-sided. I think that on the horse's side, I think sometimes it's a lot harder than people think to adjust to the ride of an experienced Grand Prix horse, especially, I mean, you want one that has a very amateur-friendly personality, that they can take a joke, they're not going to hold it super against you, but you also have to be aware that they have buttons that are set in them, and if they're older, they have buttons that they're molded into who they are. That's how they go. So if you don't take the time to learn and understand all those buttons and the way the horse goes and kind of their personality, and just go out there and just try and shoot for the moon without any preparation, I think you can get yourself into a bunch of trouble. And on the rider's side, I think that one of the flip sides to having the experience of riding a Grand Prix horse or any type of schoolmaster type horse is that later down the road, you might find yourself with a horse that doesn't know what that horse knew, and unless you've had the experience of teaching it or handling the situations that they get themselves into, you'll kind of be a little stuck and lost.
Okay, let's talk prices of horses. That horse that you think you would like to have, if you could have a step-down Grand Prix horse, what do you think it would cost? Slow down, because you're going to have to turn.
I would probably say right now it would be anywhere from high fives to low sixes, maybe. I would probably also get a little stuck in just where the market is, because the market is always changing, so it's very hard to kind of keep up with what horses are going for. But from what I've seen recently, people have some low sixes, six figures horses for sale. I saw a couple that are negotiating down to high fives, but about that.
What age?
Now that's purely if I'm buying in the States.
Okay, but what age?
Like 14 and up.
Yeah, so like horses that are truly, like, probably have maintenance issues.
Somebody's taken them up as far as they can go, realized that they needed a little bit less, and are selling them for that.
Okay. When do you think you'll be able to buy a six-figure horse?
Never. maybe in my dreams. I don't know, that'd be so far down the road, and it would not happen anytime soon.
Does it make it less fun going to the shows and not having something that is competing above a meter?
Not less fun. I think it's still fun. It can be frustrating sometimes. It can be really frustrating. And training young horses is really hard. And seeing people out there doing more because they had the horse can be frustrating, but at the end of the day, everyone's life circumstances are different. Everyone has different opportunities, and everybody will learn a certain amount from what they have.
You were going to say, honestly, sometimes.
Honestly, sometimes it's more entertaining to ride young horses at shows because they can do some funny stuff.
Well, and your expectations are a little more like, well, if we survive this and things are productive,
then it was a win.
Then it was a win. I don't need to win.
Yeah.
Like, get the blue ribbon.
And when you get the blue ribbon, it feels like you worked so hard for it and you earned it so much more. In my opinion, when you do stuff on a young horse and you end up with a good placing, or it was such a pretty round, or whatever, it's a lot more
Okay, so I'll give my 2 cents worth about the value of the horse in terms of kids. So one of the things that is a struggle as a trainer is helping the parents understand what they're buying. So what the money means. And I think that we're in a situation we have to make our horses. That's just what we have to do. So we don't even really know how to value what we have per se. I mean, we make it up. But what I generally say is, what can I go out and buy that would give my kid the same experience that she has with the young horses that we have? So anyway, with that being said, if you're going to be in the jumper world, I think it is very difficult to not spend mid to high 5 figures on a decent horse for your kid, and that is brutal. And it really keeps a lot of people out of the sport. So what's another option? The other option is to make it, and make it with something that is maybe a little unconventional. Now, there are a lot of trainers out there that they're just not interested in making horses for kids. They want a kid that can go to the shows, and I understand why that's the way it is. But you have to look at what the long-term purpose of your kid riding is, and that's a whole subject unto itself. One of the things that a lot of parents say is, I want my kid to ride on an equestrian team at college. And that's kind of it's something for parents to understand easily. But what's involved is really hard, and will cost you probably what your kid's college tuition will cost you. And that's the brutal truth. But there are kids that go and do the shows that they need to do and get on the equestrian team. But you got to know that you have to have the experience and the mileage and the show ring to get on an equestrian team, like a SEC or serious college equestrian team. There's also the goal of, I want to grow up and be a professional horse person. Okay, you should think twice about that. Honor here thinks that she wants to be a professional horse person, and I'm just holding my breath and telling her to work on some other options as well. But if you're going to be a professional horse person, you need to learn how to train horses. You're not going to ride a made horse if you're going to be a professional, and that is really hard to make happen, because there are not a lot of ribbons when you make your own horse. There are a lot of hard times.
There are a lot of lessons.
There are a lot of lessons, but not a lot of ribbons. Okay, there's something I definitely want to harp on, and that is people need to think a little unconventionally sometimes. In the U.S., people move off of ponies, in my opinion, too quickly. So I'm a big fan of the pony jumpers. I think that it is a great way to transition into the jumpers, because there is a lot of lessons. If you've been doing the hunters, I have this kid that has been was doing the hunters before she came to me, and there was flat work she didn't have. There was just putting together a course of jumps that wasn't straight lines. These kinds of things you can learn on a pony, and it's really safe, and it's a lot easier to fall off a pony for the most part than a big experienced horse. So I am a huge fan of the pony jumpers if kids are going to go into the jumpers. Now, I have friends that tell me that's just not the way it should be done, because they think that you need to know how to ride a horse in the jumpers. Okay. I mean, I think that you can learn a lot on a pony. And the thing about a pony is that they're handy typically, and they have a little bit of grit, and they can give kids something that they can manage. And I'm talking about 11, 12, 10-year-old kids. You know, the ponies are a great place to cut your teeth in the jumpers. Another thing that I think people should consider is you should look in other sports like eventing, even in the Western sports. Sometimes there are really cool horses, athletic horses that would love to do the jumpers at the 0.85, 0.95 meter 10 even. And some of them are going to go on and do a lot more. But there's such I've got to have a warm blood idea in this country. And there's so many options out there that are more affordable. I mean, we are big thoroughbred people.
Bring back thoroughbreds.
I mean, we are a big believer in off-the-track thoroughbreds. But you got to have a trainer that is willing to help you navigate that process. And not every trainer is going to want to do that. I mean, that's a big thing for a trainer because it involves a lot of at-home work, and a lot of people just want to go ahead and get out to the shows. Okay, we're out of the fog. That's a good thing.
We're in the safe zone now.
We're in the safe zone. I think I might not throw up while my kid learns to drive. But
well, I'm actually a very good driver, so.
Yes, you are a very good driver.
One time I got pulled over, I got told I was a good driver.
Yeah, she got pulled over because her parents don't know how to put the proper tag on her car. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. We're to kind of finish up about the price of horses and the value for kids and what you buy. You know, again, I'm all about the conversation. I'm not necessarily I don't have a lot of answers, but you know, these are all ribbons that we've won and on our young horses, and you know, we wanted to share kind of our view on the options out there for buying horses for kids.